Alright, good morning people of YouTube. So we are back again today with a super exciting deck profile. This is one of the decks that I was the most excited to build going into the Bt7 format. This time we have X Antibody. So for those of you that played Digimon World 4, you'll recognize my boy Dorumon here. He finally got his own deck, and we're gonna hop right into it. This is a deck that it's kind of low on the tier list right now, but it's still a very, very powerful deck when it goes off, and it can cheat a bunch of wins out against some of the best contenders in the format here. But it is one of those decks that continues to get support. So pick up these cards now, because we're getting Uryumon in his full line in BT8, and then we get more Alphamon support in BT9 with all the rest of the X Antibody cards. So, yeah, this deck is one of those decks that's good now. It's not like super high on the tier list, but it is still good. But it gets super high on the tier list very, very soon. So this is one of those decks that you definitely want to have your eyes on. And we'll go ahead and get right into the card choices. I do have a sideboard here. We are going to start including sideboards in all of our deck lists, and we are going to start building our decks to accommodate for that. So I will go ahead and talk about some changes in the main deck that I would make if I were going to take this deck to a tournament that didn't allow for siding. But yeah, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get right into the card choices. So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, everybody, and here are the babies. We got 4 copies of Dorumon and 1 copy of Pagumon. So I don't really think you need Pagu. I think you're going to be perfectly fine with 4 Dorumon in all honesty. But there are a lot of yellow-purple lists floating around in the format, and there are a lot of purple Lilith Loop lists still floating around because they got 4th place at DigiFest. So there are times that you're going to want a 5th egg. If you want a 5th egg, play the Pagu. If you don't want a 5th egg, just play the 4 Dory. But Dory lets you draw a card if you add a card to your sources, and that's super consistent, really good. You're doing that a lot. So we'll go ahead and go straight into the rookies. I got 4 copies of Dorumon. This card is absolutely bonkers. Its on-play effect is great, and you're never going to use it. The main thing that you're going to use this card for is its sick inheritable effect, because whenever you put this card into your sources, you can just gain a memory. And then for the rest of the game, it has this effect that it's like, while it's in your sources, every time you put a card in your sources, like if it's the first time that turn, you gain a memory, So this starts snowballing really quickly. If you evolve on one of these in the raising area, and then promote, and then go into like the level 5, the Dorugreymon, and then you put another Dorumon under it with Dorugremon's inheritable, or Dorugremon's Wind Digivolving effect, then you have 2 Dorumon, and you basically made this Dorugreymon a 1-cost evolution. So that's super powerful. Dorumon is just really, really good for making you just keep advantage, and this is going to be a 4 of moving forward, basically for this list for the rest of time. Next, I got 4 copies of Sunnerizumon. This is an amazing card to evolve on top of in the raising area, because you will be pumping yourself above 13,000 on all of your level 6s, and having extra security attack is kind of nuts. The point of this deck is to swing with Dorugoremon, blow up your opponent's board, and simultaneously take out all of their security. So this helps for that strategy. Next, we got 3 copies of Chumon. Blocking memory gain is always good, especially this format. The 4th copy of Chumon is in the side deck. And so we have 4 more rookies, actually. And the reason we are playing so many rookies in this list is because the last 4 are 2 copies of each Hagurumon. I got the 2-cost vanilla, and I got the one from EX1 that lets me discard a machine and draw 2. So if we were playing a deck, or in a format where this didn't allow for sideboards, I would drop one of the EX1 Haguru for a 2nd copy of Rebellimon in the main deck, because Rebellimon is also a cyborg. But basically what you want to do is, with some of these slots, you want to build a machine/cyborg engine, so that you can have this Hagurumon to discard a machine and draw 2 cards, and this Gardramon to discard a machine or a cyborg and draw 2 cards. And it makes it so that while we don't have all of the X Antibody cards available to us now, we will have a way to cycle mid-attack with the Garderomon's Inheritable. So with Garderomon's Inheritable, you can swing and then discard a machine or a cyborg and draw 2. And then if you drew an X Antibody off of that, then that can be the card that you shove under your sources with Doragora's effect. So having ways to cycle for machines is really good. And I chose this ratio because since we are playing so many rookies, there will be times that you just kind of flood the board and just kind of play a rookie rush strategy. Don't do that against blue hybrid, but against any other deck in the format that does actually work. So the 2-cost vanillas really help with that strategy. And then we play 2 copies of this to facilitate that extra draw so that we see all of our X Antibody cards that we need. So I am playing 15 rookies. If you are playing a format without a sideboard, then I would drop down to 14 rookies and bump up a Rebellimon. But we'll go right ahead into the level 4s. I got 4 Dorumon. This is the level 4 blocker, and it has an inheritable effect that says all turns, this Digimon gets plus 1,000 while it is an X Antibody card. So that's really nice. You can shove a bunch of these under your sources and just get beefy. Even in the matchup against yellow hybrids, I've gotten to the point where I'm swinging with my level 6 Dorumon for like 21,000 DP at security attack plus 4, which is absolutely insane. So this card helps with that. Next, we got 2 copies of Grumblemon. This is the hybrid that we get this set. Hybrid for game is really nice, especially since we play a bunch of Tamers. And we are swinging all security with like 1 check with Doragora. So being able to just Digivolve into a Grumblemon and swing for game is actually really key in this deck. So you can't really play any less than 2. And then the last level 4s in the deck help facilitate that machine and cyborg engine. I got 3 copies of the EX1 Garderomon. This has that inheritable effect that lets me cycle cards in my deck, and it also is blocker, so that's kind of nice. And then we got 3 copies of Tankmon. This card is also a cyborg. Everybody's been joking that this card should have been a D-Brigade for basically since D-Brigades became a deck, but it actually really helps this deck that this is a cyborg card because I can discard this and draw more cards off of Haguru and Garderomon, but also because it's a 1 cost to evolve 6,000 beater. That's really nuts, this format. You're swinging over 50% of the level 4 hybrids that exist in the format because half of them are 5,000 and the other half of them are 6,000. And having just Tankmon to facilitate cheap evolution chains is really nice. So that's my level 4 lineup, and I really, really like it. It's been putting in a lot of work for me. Going straight ahead into the level 5s, I got 4 copies of Dorugreymon. This is the most important level 5 in the list. This is your X Antibody target, and it's got the inheritable effect that says security attack plus 1, which is really, really nice. You basically want to shove a bunch of these under Doragora so that you're swinging for all of their security in 1 big check. This also gives you the effect that when Digivolving, you can place a X Antibody card underneath this Digimon's Digivolution sources, and then you can't be destroyed or have your DP reduced by card effects this turn. So you can, if you get to a situation where you have like your memory setter and then like a boost in play, you can Digivolve into this, slap Dorumon under it, make this only cost 2, and then this card can't be destroyed or have its DP reduced, and then you Digivolve into the Doragora for 3, you're at 0 memory, and then you have this card that cannot be destroyed whenever it swings in for all of your opponent's security. So you can swing with this, put another Doragray under your sources, and then you're swinging for a massive amount of damage. Your DP goes up because you have more X Antibodies in your sources, and that's just really nice. The protection that you get from Dorumon is really good, but the inheritable effect of this card is just absolutely bonkers. So this is a great card overall, and it's kind of surprising to me that this card is only an uncommon. I only play one Rebellion in the main deck. The other two are in the side deck, so I think this is a list that should play no less than 3 between main and sideboard. Unless you're going to a tournament where you can't use sideboards, in which case I would bump this card up to 2. And keep it at that, because the other level 5 in the list is Warumanze. And Warumanze is really, really important for being just a cheap card. But Rebellion is also a really important card for staving off big Digimon, like Ancient Beetlemon, like Jessmon, like Shine Greymon. There are a lot of big level 6s in the format that you don't want to have hit you in the face, and Rebellion kind of keeps them at bay. So having 1 of this in the main is mandatory. Having 2 of this in the main is ideal. But since I do have a sideboard for this deck list, I do feel like 1 in the main is absolutely fine. Warumanze is really, really important. Being able to Digivolve for 2 is super key, because Doragora's effect to add sources only happens when you attack. It doesn't happen when you Digivolve. So if you Digivolve into this card and then pass turn, then you can't use your when attacking effect that turn, you know? So saving memory where you can is really important, and the 2-cost evolution from Warumanze is really nuts in that regard. Also, something I do want to note about Rebellion is this is a cyborg, so you can discard this card off of your Guardiamon and Hagurumon's effects, and it does help facilitate that consistency. So with the 1 Rebellion in the main, the 4 Haguru, and then the 3 Gardro, that's 8, and then the 3 Tank, that's 11 machines / cyborgs that I can discard to draw extra cards. I feel like that's pretty consistent. So, going right ahead into the level 6s, we got 4 copies of the man himself, Doragora. We've been talking about him a lot already, but when attacking, you can just slap an X Antibody under itself and delete up to 2 Digimon that your opponent controls with play cost less than or equal to the number of sources that this has. So if you build this in Raising Area, and you promote, and then you swing, and then you drop a source under it, and you have just the level 2 through level 5, and then an extra source, you know, you can pop 2 level 6, or 2 play cost of 6 or lowers. So that deletes, 2 hybrids. You can delete a Boko and a hybrid. Even if they, Tommy you at some point while this is in play, you can swing again and then still delete Boko and a Terriermon or something. So this is an absolutely nuts card. It also gains 1,000 power for every X Antibody in your sources. So this card just gets beefy. Doragora is absolutely absurd, and I kind of underestimated this card whenever it came into Bt7, because I think I read this effect and didn't think it was as powerful as it was. I thought, having something that's reliant on the number of Digivolution sources doesn't sound consistent, but with the number of ways that you're just slapping sources under this dude, it's kind of absurd. This just becomes a board wipe with feet, and it also takes out all of your opponent's security whenever it swings, so that's really nice. So, wouldn't play any less than 4 copies of Doragora. The last level 6 that we're playing is just the single copy of Alpha, just because it is an X Antibody card. It has a really good security effect, and it has a really good when attacking effect of being able to just gain 2 memory. But aside from that, if you have the option to Digivolve into Doragora, you're always going to do it. This is just here as an extra X Antibody card, because I thought just playing Dorumon's full line wasn't necessarily enough. I wanted one more name, and this is it. So, those are my level 6s. On to the Tamers. I got 4 Coda Domodo. This dude. He's your memory setter. He's also a good searcher. So I'm playing 4 of him. It's important that you see him early because this is a deck that really needs to be put to 3 memory. I'm playing 1 copy of Izzy Joe. Izzy Joe lets me gain more memory if my opponent starts going wide. And it also has the added effect of letting me draw more cards sometimes. So it's good, but it's not good enough to play more than 1 in this format, in my opinion. But yeah, that's it for the Tamers. Yeah, nothing else really to say here. The reason you play Coda over like something like Izzy, even though you are playing all black cards, is because Dorumon can actually hit Coda if you do have to hard play a Doru. But if you have to hard play a Doru, you're already kind of losing. So we got 2 copies of Black Memory Boost. This card adds the consistency. Turn 1, what you really want to be doing is if you don't see a level 4 to like build up your stack in the raising, you want to either be playing a Black Memory Boost or a Coda to look at the top couple cards of your deck and, you know, try to grab something useful. And playing 15 rookies, you know, you will always have a rookie to open to, like, slap down in your raising area. And then opening, like, rookie Black Memory Boost makes it so that the next turn you can basically build into a full Dorumon, provided they don't just hard slam a Madoki. But even if they hard slam a Madoki, you can still pop it with Dorugora's effect before you gain the memory, which is always kind of nuts. So, memory blockers seem like they'd be a good choice to play against this deck, but in practice, they don't do anything because Dorugora just blows them up. And then you gain the memory after they leave the field, so Black Memory Boost helps facilitate those plays as well. And then the last couple cards in the list are all straight-up removal. I got 2 copies of the Big Iron Fist, 1 copy of Ultimate Flare, and 1 copy of Brave Metal. So I am not playing the 2-cost card that lets you draw a card for every Digivolution source in an X Antibody sources. I don't like that card. I feel like if you need to activate that card, you're losing. And the times that you can activate it, you're winning. The only times it's ever good is if you have like a Dorugora with a full stack in play and then you play it. And at that point, you don't need that card anymore. You don't need to be drawing like 7 cards because you've already got the full Dorugora stack. So I chose to play straight up removal. And I feel like that was the better choice. So Brave Metal has, or most of the time Brave Metal just takes out like a level 4 hybrid that's in play. But if you do have the full Dorugora stack, it has the added effect of being able to take out like anything instead, which is pretty nuts. And then the Flare and the Iron Fist have been around forever. You know, these are just good generic removals. And the rest of the removal is in the sideboard. If you are playing a format without a sideboard, I'd try to add at least 1 more Fist and 1 more Brave Metal to the main list. But in a format with a sideboard that I've been testing in, this is absolutely nuts. Like, I like this removal in the main deck. And playing more in the sideboard does like allow you to side into, you know, just extra copies of all of these cards and just play kind of a pseudo security control style against decks that works against. So yeah, that's it for the main list. We'll go right ahead into my sideboard choices. So I got 2 extra copies of Rebelli, absolutely mandatory. Like I said, this card kind of staves off big aggression. I got the 4th copy of Chumon because Chumon is just great. You want the 4th copy somewhere in the list. I got an extra copy of Brave Metal, an extra copy of Iron Fisted Onslaught, and then 2 copies of Ultimate Flare to add, you know, more removal. And all of these are already in the main deck, but you play more copies here. So you kind of just side into whatever flavor works the best. The last 3 spots in the sideboard I'm a little less sure of. So these could realistically be anything. I'm kind of throwing around the ideas of going with double Zwart Defeat and then an all delete against hybrid decks. But right now, I have a Machmon and 2 copies of Metal Garurumon. So these cards are all Sideboard, so you can discard them off of Hagurumon and Garderomon's effects. Metal Garuru helps you control the board a little bit more and also gives you just a better way of aggression with security burn. So that's also really nice. Plus, the reboot is really valuable into the green matchup. You can swing with this card and then unsuspend yourself, and because it's 11,000 DP, your opponent has to have the Thunder Laser in order to suspend you and swing over with the Ancient Beetle. So you can just always have a body that can poke them, and they can just never swing over. Or realistically. So, and then the Machmon just has Decoy. So you're playing a lot of big bodies. If they side into big removal, you have Machmon. So that was the theory with this card. Haven't really gotten the chance to side into it too much, but it is a spot that I'm still messing around with. But yeah, that's the list, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. This is definitely a deck that is good now, but it only gets better. So this card is like $50 for the alt art. If you want these alt arts, just pick them up now. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but when this deck actually starts like winning events, this card is going to skyrocket in price. So that's been my warning to you, everybody. Until then, we will see you all next time. Take care.